we make our return to Medved today to continue with our moose grind, which at the moment we are approximately 75 kills into, just kind of getting started after a couple of runs. By the end of this hunt, we should be over 100, and we've kind of reached a point where we're getting these areas with a lot of hunting pressure. Like, this big lake has become one of our best, and down in here, if we're not careful, we can get too much hunting pressure and delete zones down there too. So what I had thought of doing was going and looking for moose in other areas and seeing if we could have a secondary place to grind. And in running down to here, I only got to this first lake. You could see the moose drink zone, and there were 3 different bulls. So what we're going to do, at least for the first part of this video, is run through all these lakes. They've traditionally been good moose lakes, and we'll find out if that remains to be the case today. And it could end up being a second place to grind, or if it's really good, it could become our primary grind. So as I mentioned, there were 3 different bulls down here. However, I didn't have a zone on this end, so I don't know if that's a 4th one. We can see 3. There were 2 level 2s though, so there must actually be 4. We're in a tough spot because, of course, the spook radius for gunshots has been increased, so shooting from 230 would spook these guys. I guess that's the other one. There might be 5 bulls here, and most of them are level 2s. I think maybe the move then is going to be to maybe shoot the 2 level 2s, and if this 3 that is somewhere out in front of us kind of spooks across the ice, maybe a couple of less than ideal shots can bring him down and we can get 3. For now, gotta focus on getting the 2 shots in there quick enough, and we did not. I think we hit him. He's kind of running funny. This kind of becomes emergency mode to get that guy. I don't see that 3 yet, but he could have cut across that way. I don't know where he went, but maybe we're still going to end up getting 2. I'm not sure if we got the level 2 well enough the second one we shot. That's the 3 that we're after. I don't know. Could we get a shot at that? Only because he stood still there for a second, and it could be too low. Looks like we got a lung. This is chaos. At least for the moment, the hunting pressure only shows that we got 2. And maybe as things kind of settle down here while we go to track the other, I can at least try to talk about the goals for this hunt. Of course, a goal in a grind is always a great one, and it could happen. We've shot some moose, and anytime that happens, you could get a great one to respawn. But what I really want to know primarily is just the numbers down here and if this area is going to be feasible to grind. You know, I'm starting to think we got that other one. We ran by the level 3 that we shot. Looking at the map there, that hunting pressure is kind of bright. Right along to him as he took off, there was that moment where he stopped, and we just luckily had the crosshairs in the right area to take a quick shot. And I guess he did actually go down. I'm not gonna lie, I couldn't find any evidence that he did, and it was not good shooting. Although we were so close to getting a lung there, and then hit him in the back leg as he was taking off. I wasn't seeing any blood, couldn't find the tracks, and just assumed that I was looking at that wrong, but we got 3 from that lake somehow. I'm liking what we're seeing, although, you know, spooking level 3's not as good. Numbers-wise, we're looking okay. We can take that guy. Maybe if that 3 somehow presents a shot, I can't imagine we're going to get as lucky as we did earlier and get a free standing still shot, but they're small lakes, and I think that is going to make them a little tougher to grind. But again, 10 placement can kind of help us. Maybe not so much here, but even if we sort of know that there are going to be moose, and apparently that they drink just in the middle of the lake, we can know to kind of sneak our way in and try to spot them from a bit of a distance. I'm liking this though. We'll have to see, because there were lakes like this on the east side of the map where we began the grind, and those lakes have kind of balanced out to where there's maybe only 1 or 2 bulls. If it can be a back and forth though, where one day we do this side, the next day we do the other side, I think that might help our efficiency. We'll have to see how it goes. And just consistent as ever, got moose at all these lakes. It is pretty amazing the lack of big ones. You think back to how moose used to be way back in the day, prior to True Racks or anything, you saw a lot of nice 4s. No such thing as level 4 would seep down on this side. So again, we have 3 bulls. And again, probably we're just not getting all 3. Typically, it's going to be best to just go for the ones that are clustered up, and If the one that's on its own kind of runs across the ice, we'll try to get it too, but let's really make sure we get the two side by side this time. I'm gonna say somewhere in here should be fine. Been really just waiting for the level 2 to turn broadside. He had turned straight away from us. And I guess we'll take the level 3 first. Chance for a heart shot. That should be a lung, but he was kind of turning the other way. And this may just work. Probably jumped the gun on that shot because he was slowing down as we fired, but we're gonna get him. We may have got a lung already. Not like he's big enough to worry about saving the medal, so one more shot and that, I'll say, should make 3. I still don't know what happened on the second shot that we took. I felt like he turned in a direction and we had shot kind of forward where the bullet could have just missed the lung. That's vital blood there though, and I think that's where he was standing. Won't be hard to confirm. Got the heart shot on the first one. If we can pick up the blood, or that was from the first one. So maybe there is a chance that actually we didn't get him. That's the one that we shot potentially several times. And I think we're clicked onto the track of the level 2. I know we hit him. Or at least I thought we did. I guess these are older tracks, so it may take a moment. This guy, though, we hit 3 times. We did have a lung with the 300, though, so not a bad deal. And where did this guy get to? Hunting pressure this time does look like only 2. Interesting how that's been going. Our shots at the 2, like, paired up haven't gone that well. Is that him? I don't know where this moose would have came from otherwise. Should get a chance. That was so odd. If he'd have kept trotting, I think the shot was going to be easier, but there was a little room at a weird angle to get that. Probably messes up this next leg. These are the 2 that are closest together, and of course, that's where we have that encounter, but I actually didn't see any running off, unless he came from there. Keeping with the theme of chaos down here, regardless of what that was. I thought it was a 2, though. And it's not hit, so that couldn't have been the 1. I don't know where it went. We'll just take our 1 bonus kill. And I guess move on to the next lake. That is one of the weirder bull moose we've seen so far in this grind. The frame kind of just tilts backwards. But 3 bulls again. And not that we've been doing well getting 2 so far, but the only way we've had success getting 3 is using the 308. So what we'll try to do is line up a heart shot on the one facing us, get the one beside him, and then if there's time, swing to the left and get that guy. It really does just depend on how long they hang around after the shot. And fortunately, that one in particular hung around the longest. I am a little worried, and the reason I took the second shot there, because he was kind of turning. I didn't think we got into a lung, but looking like he did, the 308 is a really solid option for stuff like that. It's going to require tracking. But I mean, heck, every time we try to get 2 with the 300, we're not getting them. So, you know, spend some extra time tracking 2 to get a total of 3, versus sometimes just getting 1, we'll take the 3 every time. Of those 3, though, I think this was the biggest one at 181. Not too bad heart shot at 130. The other 2 both have vital blood, so this time it should be easy tracking at least. Got 1 laying here. This was the second shot we took, I believe. And then the other one was the one that I was a little more worried about. I think it had a low bleed rate. That's the blood there. Still got 25 to 50, so that'll take a little longer. Interestingly though, and we'll see if they always run that way, that's taken us to the last lake. And so far we've shot 10 bull moose. And easily left 1 or 2 others there that, had we shot better, we could have gotten. You can see what I mean though, like the entire frame is actually behind the ears. Bit of an odd looking one. He actually scores higher than the one that I thought was the biggest. But regardless, potentially a dozen or so, and still could actually get more up here. I do think this is a spot we should go through. It's only taken right about 20-25 minutes. And again, better shooting, not having to track stuff for forever. Could probably do it a little quicker. And no surprise, 2 bull moose, although in pretty terrible spots. We'll attempt to get them. Could not manage that recoil, but there's a possibility we got the other one, I don't know. And maybe that wasn't the best thing, just shooting blind coming up to this lake when we can't see. But that's the last factor that comes into this area. Tent placement could really help. I was looking at the map, and where tents might kind of work would be in a spot like this. They gotta be in a place that is not gonna be too close to where the moose are. But if we placed a tent here, we could fast travel to it, go to this lake, fast travel back, get to this lake, and it doesn't end up with us placing, you know, half of our allotted tents for the map all in this one little spot for these tiny lakes. I think it could work, and I don't know, assuming that we got them both, and hunting pressure says we did. Potential for 14 moose, we got 12 with a really subpar run. That's pretty decent for less than 30 minutes. I do think, though, we have once again shot nearly 15 moose without getting a goal. That was around the number that we had in the previous video. And speaking of that previous video in that area, the important thing about going down through here and shooting the ones that we did is that we've pretty well cleared this side. Now we could continue, we could branch out to some of these other lakes. We'll look into doing that if we need to going forward. But I think we'll go ahead with the last hour of moose string time and try to just push on with the regular run. And by the way, this is why it can be good to switch things up. This is the area that I like to start our runs, and the reason is we spawn at this tent and run pretty much all the way out to here. You can see in the bottom right corner of the map, that's 1.6 kilometers away. It's a long run, it takes quite some time to do. However, something that a lot of people are experiencing with this moose grind already is moose coming in very late to their zones. Now, getting 2 level 3s isn't that important, but if a rare or a level 5 or even the great one were to spawn in this particular zone, and if we always started our runs at this spot, we could very easily just run past it every time as it's late getting there. So I think it's good actually to have another chunk of our run to do and then come here towards the end. It mixes things up and allows you to see some of these otherwise wouldn't be there. But regardless, recoil management is just horrible today. I think we got the lung there. We are really getting lucky with some of these because we saw earlier they can flee way faster than that. So let's hope we can kind of clean a little bit of that up. Finally a gold. A level 3 at 195. Figures it would be on this side when things had heated up so fast by the end of the last grind. We were getting all kinds of max ultimate ones and of course the little pieball towards the beginning. But I like this change from the black bear grind we've been doing, where rather than having so few bears that we have to try to make sure we get to every spot, we kind of have the luxury of picking which lakes we want to grind, and right now it's looking like this chunk down in here and this area in the east and southeast is going to be where we place our focus. You know, there's a theory out there that is something to do with when you start to see wonky racks, that means the great one is near. I can pretty confidently say it has nothing to do with that, but when you shoot hundreds, thousands of these animals with true racks, you're going to see funny variations. We're not even at 100 yet, and like, what is that? I've never seen that rack with the antlers being so wide set, and I think we're gonna have to let this level 3 get away, or maybe just sort of wait till they get into their spot. I thought the wind would sort of mess us up here, but it may work. I think maybe though they're just leaving. We're just gonna go ahead and get them. I mean, we're like right at 1600, but I didn't think they'd have been moving from their zone that quickly. That, I think, is the other bull. And it's looking like he's going to get away, but we did hard shot the wide set level 4. We've had these antlers dozens of times, but I've never seen them like that. I guess we're going to be better off going into the inspect screen. I don't know if this necessarily fits into the wonky category, but it certainly isn't typically what you see from this. It's just incredibly, like, flat. What did it even score? 229. I don't think that's way above the norm, but 220, 225 is about as big as I've seen this, and no doubt the overall spread of 106 is a significant contributor to that high score. But we are pretty well then through moose string time. That appears to be a moose that has apparently just gotten there, but we'll probably go ahead and rest back to in the area of 1300 or so. Again, as I mentioned, moose are coming in late to zones for just about everybody, and the best way to counter that is just to start late and we'll get through the remainder of the regular run. So, 2 things of interest. Number 1, in the general vicinity of where we just shot that really wide level 4 is a slightly better one, up to 263. A decent 3 there beside him. And then unless the level 2 was it that we let get away, was actually drinking over here somewhere? Like out of sight? I'm not really sure where it's at. It could be the case that it's just late getting to its zone, and again, we've talked about that a lot today. But, I mean, certainly an improvement to be taking that guy instead of the level 3. That level 3 did just dodge our shot, but should be fairly doable. We had that exact same deal again, though. Right as we shot, he kind of just paused for a second, and it looks to me like we hit a little far forward. That shot I think is going to be okay. We do know that 2 flesh hits will bring them down. Health is dropping, and I think we got the bigger 4, so gonna be our best in the hunt thus far. And I think probably now is a good time to note, I've begun kind of cutting out some of the smaller moose, and this is actually for this hunt, moose number 21, which means once we go and claim this other one, we'll be 3 away from our first 100 on the grind. And ironically, so far, our only trophy was, I think it was our 22nd bull moose, a piebald level 2, which was a initial spawn, so hopefully soon we have a proper respawn trophy. But because I mentioned kill count, I think it's probably good to give an idea of how long it's taken to get to that number, and we are at 57 minutes for this video, so right about an hour, 22 kills. That's a huge level 3. I don't know that I've ever seen one score 208, like that's quite high. Good to know that's a possibility when we see that rack. And we will continue forward to some of the smaller lakes, and I think we'll end at the big lake up there. And already, we've got our first level 1 bull moose. Unfortunately, it will be harvest number 101. Just got to number 100 on the last lake, and while they were small moose, they were not Hall of Shame worthy small moose. And typically what we do with these grind trophies, we did it with a level 1 black bear. Level 1 red deer stags weren't a thing, but I think we had like a spiked red deer in the main grind lodge as well. Just because I kind of look at that as another sort of achievement along the line. There's always that hope to maybe get one of each rare, a gold of each rare if we can get that lucky, and obviously getting the great ones, but another thing to potentially try to get is like a minimum weight level 1 or just a level 1 in general. Now, having suddenly found a bunch of level 1 bull moose, what I can say is because he's a 2x2, he'll be pretty low scoring. Not a guarantee to be minimum weight, but it's possible. He fit right in though. This entire lake is nothing but cows. I've never had a bull here, and I almost didn't even realize that he was a bull. If not for spotting him, I can't say I would have known. But let's see. You can see the 2x2 frame there, a 414 weight and a 50.16 score. That is pretty tiny, so at least we have a little bit of a achievement from today. We'll tax that. And I think we are on our way to the big lake. We've been everywhere else as far as I know. Hey guys, future editing Flantro here, and rather than going to this big lake and essentially encountering nothing, what we're going to do instead is take a look at a highlight from yesterday's live stream and our first level 5 moose of this grind. What the heck, hi. I didn't even know that was level 5. Okay. I really thought that was a 4. So that's an initial spawn. Haven't been down here yet. Big troll incoming. It's not the most promising rack, but it has brow tine, so I have hope. I'm going to use this lovely new mechanic to get that out of there. I don't know if that 3 was good, but the 5 we hard shot. The 3 we might have been just a touch forward. I do that a lot. Because they're sort of turning when they get alert, I find that my shots always are just off by a touch. This is why trophy shots would be cool. It's just hard to get a perfect picture no matter what, even when it's laying in such like a perfect way. Anyway, no more looking up. The thing goes away. It's a troll. By a lot. 3 level 5 moose in a row. And unfortunately on that note, with no diamond moose to tax, we head back to the trophy lodge here with our only mounted animal of the day, the level 1 bull moose. And at least temporarily, we'll put him opposite of our level 2 piebald. I mean, We thought the piebald was pathetic. Looks a little better next to a level 1, but those are our 2 trophy moose so far. Not the best of starts, but I mentioned with the piebald, there's that branchy rack, great one, and I was hopeful that maybe our first rare being that would be a sign of it. Similar kind of frame on that level 1, so let's keep leaning into the optimistic side of that, but we're well over 100 kills now. I hopefully will start to actually have time to grind as rifle season here in PA is coming to an end. I think today by the time this video comes out. And we'll see where this takes us, but good to get over 100 and always good to get to come back to the lodge, even if it is for just a level 1 bull. But anyway, that is going to do it for this video, so as always, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.